So for today's adventure, we are at the Mt Aix trailhead, getting ready to do the hike into Mt Aix. It should be about 12 miles round trip, and I believe about 4,500 feet of elevation gain. The way I remember this one is that it's a brutal 4-mile slog uphill through trees to get up onto the main ridge before you ever get to any of the views that this hike is known for. So today's going to be a grind. Today's adventure, Mt Aix, Aix in the William or Douglas Wilderness. So we just clipped off mile number 1 with 680 feet of elevation gain over that first mile. And kind of my personal benchmark is that any hike where you have over 500 feet per mile is going to be a good leg day hike. So we just completed the second mile of the ascent, and we're at over 1,500 feet of elevation gain so far. As you can see, we're still slogging uphill through the trees, and as I mentioned earlier, I believe it's about a 4-mile hike uphill through trees before you get to any views. This is one of those hikes you got to earn the views. So we just completed mile 3, and we're at 2,300 feet of elevation gain. So I think about a mile to go to the ridge, if I am not mistaken. So 3.3 miles, and the first really open view we've had on the hike up. Been a couple spots where we could get some glimpses. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like the clouds are going to break today, so we're not going to get any really good distance views. So we're about 4 miles now, and about 3,000 feet of elevation gain. We have probably about 0.8 of a mile to go to get into the intersection with the Nelson Ridge Trail. And as you can see, we're up in the alpine firs now, and we're starting to open up and get some views. It's always nice once you get up into the alpine trees. So 4.6 miles and 3,400 feet of elevation gain. We hit the intersection with the Nelson Ridge Trail. Let you see the view from here before we continue on towards Aix. A little chilly up here too. I'm glad I brought some extra layers and some gloves. I'm gonna need them in a little bit. And it's kind of like I remember. It's edgy enough to where it can make you uncomfortable. I won't personally trail run through here, but there are those who would. So 4.9 miles and 3,600 feet of elevation gain. There's your first view out at Aix. And too cloudy today to see Mount Rainier or Mount Adams, but the local topography is fabulous enough to where we still have great views. I don't know how other people feel, but for me, every time I've ever come up and looked at Aix, the approach to it always looks intimidating. It doesn't change. It doesn't matter how many times you do it. You look at it, it looks intimidating. It's just fantastic up here. Look at that. It's like its own little mini knife's edge. So 5.8 miles and 4,200 feet of elevation gain. Tired legs, but fantastic views from the top. There's a sign-in tube on the top. It was upside down though, so a lot of water on the inside of it. Give you the full 360. The top's very flat. A little edgy in a couple spots getting up to the top, but I took the scramble route up and it's not bad. Look at that. That's just, oh my word. And we'll end looking back towards Nelson Ridge over there. Back onto Nelson Ridge, and the egress begins in earnest. We'll have views for a little ways, and we'll be back into the trees. I don't know if it shows up in the video, but that's Bumpy Lake down in the bottom there. And then my mom always likes to see the edges. So there it is for my mom. But if you're watching the video, then you know I didn't die today. So 9 miles in now, and we've transitioned back into the lower elevation conifers. Today, I did not bring any electrolyte mix for my drinks, and that was a mistake. So I'm getting to enjoy working through a little bit of cramping. Always a joy when you have to do that. My fault for not doing what I needed to do with my drink mixes today. I brought the calories in that I needed. I didn't bring in the electrolyte mixes that I should have. So about 11.3 miles and 4,400 feet of elevation we gained. We are arriving back at the trailhead, so we're going to call Mt Aix in the bag. This is a tough one. It's got significant elevation gain. You're going to climb for about 4 miles through trees before you start to get views. When you hit the intersection with the Nelson Ridge Trail, about the 4.6 mile mark, you got about a mile to the summit. You're going to have fantastic views the entire rest of the way. When you first start to turn off Nelson Ridge and you can see Mt Aix and the ridge walk over to Aix, it looks a little bit intimidating, but that's deceptive. Don't let that stop you from at least trying, because once you get on that ridge walk and you start to scramble up Aix, it's not as bad as it looks from a distance. Anyways, Mt Aix is in the bag. Get outside.